where did I do my correction? My dropped stitches. I think it was on this side, because it was on the beginning of the right side. And yeah, I have no idea. So see, it totally worked, which is a great thing. Well, hello and welcome to Michelle's Fiber Studio podcast. My name is Michelle and I am your host. If this is your first time joining me, well, I thank you so much for checking me out. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. Today is Monday, July 30th, and this is episode number 16. It is kind of a gray, it was kind of sprinkling out a little bit earlier, but it's just kind of gray and cloudy, but the temperature is really nice and mild. It's about 70 degrees, maybe 72 degrees. So I got the air conditioner turned off and the windows open. Hopefully the road noise isn't too much, but it's nice to be able to have the windows open and air the house out and such. So that's a good thing. I've got so much to share with you today. I got a couple of finished objects. I have some new projects that I've started. I have some new yarn on my yarn shelf. But before we dive in, let's talk about Marta's shawl today. This one is called Free Your Fade by Andrea Mowry. This is one that I did back in the spring of 2019. I had gone to the spa vendor event in Freeport and I had seen this one on display, and the yarn is by Into the Whirled. It's their Pakuku sock. Not sure if that's how you pronounce that, but they had this sample in these colors in their booth, and I bought the yarn, and I think when I looked back at it, I cast it on the very next day. I didn't finish it until the middle of July, but that was one that I worked on all that spring. The three colors are Handbags at Dawn, which is kind of this green color, and Jump the Shark is this one here, and then Where the Sun Don't Shine is kind of the brighter yellow right here. So this is a fun one. I really enjoy wearing that one. It feels really kind of bright and happy. It's really long. If I unwrap it from Marta here, you're not going to be able to see really the length of it, but it's a good long one. So it's a really easy one to wrap and to wear to school, and it kind of adds a little brightness to my day when I am wearing it. I actually had quite a bit of yarn left over too. I knit a pair of stripy socks using the leftovers from that too. So that's yarn that I've really enjoyed. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. On my blocking board, I have two projects to share with you. The first one is, look at this, my Ameyo. Yeah, oh my goodness. It is so big, it's so big. There's just no good way to show it in its entirety to you, but I finished it last week while we were camping, so let me get in here and kind of show you some of the detail. There we go, that's the border. And then the other kind of like big brioche section is this one here. I'm kind of looking through, hopefully this is showing in the camera. So this is the side where the fingering yarn kind of takes center stage. The back, this is the mohair side. Is it showing? Yeah. And it is big and soft and squishy and beautiful. You can't tell, let's see, where did I do my correction? My dropped stitches. I think it was on this side, because it was on the beginning of the right side. And yeah, I have no idea. So see, it totally worked, which is a great thing. So let's put this on. I will probably wear it like this. Oops, where's the end? There we go. Because that's how I tend to wear my shawls. So I can stand up so you can see. Yeah, it's gonna be fun this winter to wear. It's nice and soft and squishy. So let's talk about the yarn and what I have left over here. For the final time, it is Haute Knit Yarns and the fingering weight yarn. This is what I have left. I have a good size ball, and it is the Jimmy Sock in Summer Clover. And then my mohair, this is what I have left of the mohair. Quite a bit of that too. And that is the Abigail mohair lace in 38. So I don't know exactly what I'm gonna do with these leftovers. I'm trying to remember. I'm pretty sure I could get a pair of socks out of this. I wanna say it was like 75-ish grams. And these were 50 gram skeins, and I wanna say I've got like 39 grams. So yeah, a pretty good amount. So yeah, I don't know. It'll go and live in my stash until I figure out what I'm gonna do. I did want to show you one thing that I like to do, especially when I have a substantial amount of yarn. You see my little hang tag here? So I don't like to keep the labels. They don't really stay well with the yarn in a way that stays with it without getting separated and without making things all tangly. So what I like to do is make these little tags, there we go, where I write on it the maker, the line, and then the colorway name. And so at least I have the details of the yarn itself in Ravelry, but this just identifies it enough for me so that if I have any other questions, then I can go on Ravelry and I can look it up, but I know what I'm looking for. So that's something that I like to do with that. I think the mohair, I did wind my leftover skein into a ball. I think it stores better. I didn't want to do that with the mohair. So what I think I'm going to do with this mohair, I have this little, oh shoot, what are these called? Little bags, little mesh bag. And I think I'm going to store it right, I don't know if I can open it up. There we go. I think I'm going to store it right in this bag, and that's going to keep it from getting tangled up when I put it into my leftovers. So this is done. These tags can get thrown away, and Ameyo is now in the books. The second project that I want to show you is I have a pair of socks. So I finished my socks. If you recall last week, was hoping to get at least the one sock done for Sock Week, which is run by Nitty Natty, and I was able to do that. I started the cuff Sunday afternoon after I recorded, and then I worked on it all week long while we were camping, and I finished the toe Saturday afternoon when we got home. So these are my socks that I started when I went to Iowa in May. The yarn is Sweet Georgia Tough Love, there we go, Tough Love sock, and Canary Island is the colorway name. And so this is what I have left of this yarn. I got my little hang tag there too, but so yeah, this, can't remember again exactly what the grams were, because it was more than 100 grams skein. And remember last week where I was feeling like the yarn is thicker? Well, when I weighed it out, this pair of socks took 75 grams or 78 grams of yarn. And most time when I am knitting socks, it is coming in like between 58 and 65. So I was right, it is definitely thicker. And it knit up well, it feels good. I still feel like it's a little thicker than I would generally like for socks. I think it would be a great shawl yarn or sweater yarn, cowl, anything like that. Or fingerless mitts, actually it would make really good fingerless mitts. I'm just not convinced that it's something that I would use personally again for socks. They're kind of thick, but they're bright too. These are gonna be fun to wear in the wintertime when it is gray and cold and blah. So my socks, just to kind of give you a little background information on, this is just a plain vanilla sock. I knit my socks over 56 stitches from the cuff down. I like to knit on 2 circular needles, and I do the OMG heel, which is by Megan Williams, which I have linked in the show notes, and I believe I also have it linked on my project page. I love that heel. That's just what I do for all of my socks. I can do it completely in my sleep, just about. I got it completely memorized, but it's just a short row heel, and I can do it in like 20 minutes. Like, it takes me hardly any time to turn the heel, so I love it. It's one that I will probably continue doing. I have no interest in changing. One thing that I did do different, and I think I started it with these socks, and then I'm pretty sure I did it on my New York socks, is I was trying to make the cuff a little extra stretchy, because I find when it gets, because I like my leg really long, that once it gets kind of up my calf, a little further up my, yeah, I guess that would be the calf, right? It doesn't have quite as much stretch as I would like. And I know I could cast on like an extra 4 stitches or even 8 stitches, I guess, and knit the cuff in that and then decrease down, but it's not really what I want to do. So what I tried was knitting over 2 circular needles. I do the German long tail cast on, but I tried casting on over 2 circular needles, hoping that it would give me a little extra stretch. I honestly haven't tried them on, so I don't know. I probably should do that before I do my next pairs of socks, but for the moment, that's what I did. So I'm pretty pleased to have these off of the needles. I think the next pair of socks what I would like to do is pull out that leftover yarn from my Islands in the Stream and do a pair of stripy socks. So I might play with that this week and kind of get that started. But other than that, I actually don't have, no, that's not true. I have a really old pair of socks. They've been on the needles for 3 years. They're made out of a cotton yarn, and it's not something that I'm picking up. Maybe I should pick those up and see if I can't blow through those and get those off of the needles. But at any rate, these are done and on my blocking board. Well, let's get into my project bag now that I have 2 finished objects that allowed me the space and time to cast on new projects. So I was very excited to do that this week while I was camping. Let's start with my Longline Cardigan, which I actually cast on before we left, but I didn't get a ton done. And I still don't have a lot done. I spent, let's see, I think Wednesday afternoon is when I finally finished the Ameyo. And then I was really excited to cast on the next project that I'm going to talk about. So that one kind of caught my attention and such. But I do have a little something on this. I'm probably going to have to switch it to a larger needle here soon. It doesn't look like much, and I'm honestly trying to figure out exactly what it is I'm working on, but I am trusting Joji. Again, it's the Longline Cardigan by Joji Locatelli. And most of this is the collar. So this is the collar here, and then I have just barely started. This is the back, and I believe the shoulders. So I'm thinking well, I can't try it on, but like something like this, I don't know. I'm not sure where the front stitches are getting picked up. I'm just gonna keep charging ahead and figure it out from there. It's a ribbed pattern so far. So it's coming along. Now that I have finished my other projects here, I'm gonna really try to give this some love and attention. The yarn is by Regia. Show you my big ball of yarn here. And I have a tag. I know I have a tag for you. Oh, do I not have a tag in here? Well, here, I'll show you this tag. There we go. Regia, it's a bamboo merino blend. Merino wool, bamboo, and nylon blend. It's finger weight yarn. It's yarn that I have had in my stash for 4 years actually. I purchased it in 2020. So yeah, that's basically what I got to show and talk about. Not a whole lot. Maybe next week I will have something more. I've got my little paw print stitch minder here. Oh, come on. I'm trying to turn it so that you can see it, and my fingers keep getting in the way. There we go. So that's my Molly paw print. I can't remember where I got these. I will link them though in the show notes. How's that? I will make sure I have the link for those. And yeah, that's pretty much what I got for my Longline cardigan. I'm excited to keep going on this, and again, fingers crossed that I have enough yarn to do what I want to do, right? You guys are not. I want to keep tuning in to see if I actually get to where I want to be. So that's that project. The second project that I'm going to talk about is another new project. This is a shawl. This is The Right Stuff by Bristol Ivy. This one is a little bit more exciting. So there's one side and there is the other. It's kind of knit in two halves, so it's a tale of two shawls, as it were, right? So this is yarn that I picked up at the Fiber Frolic in Maine. It is by One Lupin, Maine Yarn Fiber Supply. So there's the tag. Oh, get this string out of the way. There we go. There's the tag for that one. So this yarn, the first yarn here, the reddish brown, is their Eastport yarn, and it is called Killing the Blues. It is a merino silk blend. And then the other one is a nice lovely green, and it is called Echo Lake. It is their Pemaquid line, which I think it's 100% merino fingering, yeah. So those are the yarns that I have. It's just a 2 skein shawl, and I have finished the first section, so I'm excited. Oops, that was the back. There we go. So I'm excited to keep going on this one and see how this one turns out. I spent a lot of time debating which color to do as which. So which would be color 1 and which would be color 2. But I think I'm pretty happy with the choice that I made there. So that is my Right Stuff shawl. All right, got one more project to share with you. What could that possibly be, she says, or you think, because I have the 2 finished projects and I cast on 2 new projects. What else has been lingering out there? Well, how about my Boxy? Remember that one? I told you this is going to be one that I picked at all summer long. So I took this out yesterday. We had a birthday party. My aunt turned 70, and I brought it with me to the birthday party because I knew both my Longline cardigan and my shawl were at a point where I really need to look at the pattern, and I can't just pick it up and knit. I had finished my socks, so I didn't have socks to knit. So yeah, Boxy it was. If I was bringing knitting with me, it was going to be my Boxy. I guess I could have taken out my muscle bra hat, but we're leaving that until school starts again, right? So I took out the Boxy, but look how much I got done. Like what? Is that an inch? A solid inch? Maybe an inch and a half? And I have, probably 4.5 inches that are done here. I should actually measure this and see how far I am. Again, it's like 12 or 14 inches of just round and round and round in stockinette stitch over like 280 stitches. I don't even remember how many stitches I ended up with at this point, but it's a lot, and it's a lot of stockinette. So I knit for an hour and a half or so, and I got an inch. So that tells you how many stitches there are, right? But hey, an inch is an inch, and it's not an inch I don't have to do later. So if I keep plugging away an inch at a time, I get it with sweater, right? So as a reminder, here's my yarn, a nice view of my yarn. It is by Wonderland Yarns. It is their Mad Hatter Sport Weight yarn, which is superwash merino in Jub Bird. So yeah, that's picking away at it. Not a lot to show and tell, but I did spend some time on it. I actually brought it with me this morning. I had breakfast with a friend, and I did another round and a half or 2 rounds before our breakfast was served. So Just keep picking away at a little at a time, right? Right. So I do have some project dreams. I saw recently, before I went on vacation, the Flirty pattern by Hilary Latimer. This is a shawl. It has lots of different texture and stitches and such. It was just released on July 12th, so it's a brand new pattern. Saw it right before I left. I saw actually on Miss Bab's Instagram account, she posted it, and then they posted some different yarn choices that they had put together, and I just couldn't get them out of my mind. So I think I'm actually gonna roll right into on my yarn shelf. I don't think I'll bother putting the card in here, but they're just gonna kind of be one big segment today because I have a project dream with a new acquisition that is very likely gonna become a new project this week because I just don't think I can wait. So I ordered some yarn. I ordered it on Thursday before I left, or was it Wednesday? Wednesday or Thursday? No, I think it was Thursday, and it was delivered anyway on Saturday. It was waiting for me when I got home. So let me pull these colors out. They are lovely, neutral, with a little bit of pinks. Get them out of the bag so you can see them really good. So it is Miss Bab's. It's the Toe Quartet. It's a yummy 2-ply toes. And my 4 colors, this is Snowdrift. And then I have Bopprids. I love that. Can you see the little bit of pinks in there? It's a little dark in here because of the clouds. It's not coming in good, but yeah, it's got some fun little colors in there. And the next one is Tropical Sunset. That one is light. It's got some pink it's not picking up again in the camera. A really nice peachiness to it. Pink. It looks really pale on that, but it's got a really nice pink color. And then the last one is Mountain Meadow. And there we go. Yeah, that one's showing pretty accurately. It's still a little washed out. It's not as bright as it looks, but it's got some browns and some greens and again some pinks, but they just blend really, really nicely together. There we go. Maybe if I do that, get a little bit of the true colors that they are. So I'm really excited to get this one started. I know I just cast on a shawl and now I want to do another little shawly cowl thing, but it's so pretty and it's fun and that's where I'm at. So I'll probably have a new cast on next week, right? That's why we do this. It's summertime. It's vacation. It's what we do. So anyway, that is my project dreams. That's what I have on my yarn shelf. And stay tuned to see if I have a new project next week. This week's random knitting fact comes from the Barocco design team, and it says that hand knitting on 2 needles didn't occur, to the best I suppose of their knowledge, until after AD 1200, and until that time knitting was mostly done on 4 or 5 needles. I would imagine probably double points is what that's referring to, and yeah, that's pretty cool. And I know we're used to using double points for socks and for sleeves and for things with smaller circumferences, but if they didn't do any knitting on anything on 2 needles until after AD 1200, then they must have knit sweaters on 4 or 5 needles. And I can't imagine managing like a sweater's quantity of stitches, or they probably did it in pieces. So, but even so, half a sweater's quantity of stitches across 4 needles, like that would just be a pain in the neck, I would think. They must have had a good system to like put end stoppers on them, or else they would keep falling off. On the flip side, it probably maybe it made it a little easier to really test the size, right? You wouldn't have to try it on tubing on because it was already spread across a bunch of needles. I don't know, who knows, but I thought that was pretty fascinating, since that's how you think of knitting right now, is 2 needles. We actually, in my basic supplies video, I talk about how most people, when they think of knitting, they think of straight needles and 2 straight needles. But honestly, at this point, I think a lot of knitters have switched even off of that and tend to use circular needles even for back and forth knitting. So kind of fascinating that the metamorphosis and the shift in how knitting has changed over time. So anyway, yeah, that's the knitting fact for this week. Okay, finally, in my day-to-day segment, it's all camping. So that's what I did last week. We packed up on Monday morning. We actually took our time on the Sunday before, or the weekend before. So we did grocery shopping on Saturday. I did some food prep on Sunday and a little bit of packing. And then we finished packing on Monday morning. Took our time and got out to where we were gonna set up for camping about 12:30, 12:15. Yeah, something like that. It is a property that is owned by friends of ours, and it's on 80 acres on a lake, or with lake access. It's not directly on the lake, but it's across the street and down a little dirt road to get to the lake, but they own that too. And it's really a property that they are working to set up for like glamping, a glamorous camping experience, glamping. They've got a couple of yurts that they've built. They're working on building a couple more, a couple tiny houses. So what they want to create is that wilderness experience without having to be in a tent or a trailer, or for people who don't own those camping things. We went inside one of the yurts and it's really cute. There's a little bathroom right in there. You get the bed, you've got a TV, there was a heat exchanger so like air conditioning. No kitchen, so you would still need to prepare your food, but they have a pavilion where there's a grill, and there is, I think, a toaster oven and an air fryer. So I believe that access to those things would be considered part of that whole glamping experience. They do have a good sized field, which is where we set up, and they have water and electric hookups so that they could accommodate a few trailers or a handful of tents, but it would never be like a big traditional campground. There were a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 of us families, I guess, in that field. And that was pretty much what it would accommodate, still giving everybody space. We all knew each other, so we were a little more on top of each other than perhaps some other individuals would be. But anyway, that was kind of just to give you a description of the space that we were in and where we set up for the week. It's about 40-minute drive from our house, so not excuse me, I need a sip of water. All right, there. Not too terribly far away, but far enough to be away, but close enough to be able to come back in town if we needed to, which we did for a couple of times. So Monday was beautiful. Hot, actually. We got out there, it was hot, it was gorgeous, had a great campfire, and then we woke up to rain Tuesday morning. It actually poured like really hard, got really windy. We had some thunder and lightning. This was at like, I don't know, 5:30 in the morning, I guess. And the tent kind of got wet. We could, last year, it's an older tent. We've had this tent for probably 10 or 12 years. And last year I weatherproofed it again. I sprayed it down with a weatherproofing because it had leaked pretty significantly the year before. And it didn't leak from the bottom, which is where a lot of our leakage happened before. But with the heavy rain that was coming down, it was actually coming like through the top of the tent and the sides of the tent. We were getting like a little bit of a misting going on because it was just raining so hard and so heavy, and the tent is a little bit old. So we got damp, and then again we're tenting. So we did have a screen tent, but it's a screen tent and it was kind of a driving rain, and so everything was wet. Fortunately, they do have the pavilion. So I ended up going and sitting, my husband joined me with the dogs, and we sat up. They had a second floor of the pavilion that was set up really comfortably. There was a big oversized leather couch and a stuffed leather chair, and there was tables set up there, and so I just kind of plopped down with my knitting and my blanket and my laptop and spent the whole morning there. And then about lunchtime it kind of stopped, the rain stopped, and it was dry, like it was still cloudy, but it wasn't raining anymore. So we were able to kind of get back out towards the tent and dry off the table that we had set up underneath the screen tent, prepare meals. And we actually sat out in our camp chairs for the rest of the afternoon. It was actually quite pleasant even though it was cloudy. So that was Tuesday. Tuesday night I had to drive back into town. I had a practice for the Best of Broadway show that I'm in. I'll throw a picture in here. I am in a piece where it's a song from the musical Shrek, and I am playing Fiona, and so I had to put on and try on my Fiona costume. So I'll throw a picture in here. It's pretty funny. They're gonna have a green spotlight on me, so I don't have to wear any green makeup, but it should give me a green hue somewhat. So that was on there too, and I'm sure there's tweaking that's gonna happen there, but that was pretty funny. And then Wednesday and Thursday were much of the same. It never poured to the extent that it had Tuesday morning. And in fact, because it had stopped raining, we were able to open the tent up and we had a fan set up in there. It actually dried out pretty effectively. And when it rained on Wednesday morning and Thursday morning, we woke up to rain. It was more of a showery type of a rain instead of like a downpour. So that wasn't too bad, but I did end up spending Wednesday morning and Thursday morning until lunchtime, again, up in that pavilion. And then in the afternoons, it would clear a little bit and we were able to kind of be around our tent a little bit more. Friday was gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. The sun was out all day long. It was like 85 degrees, everything dried nicely. And we spent the afternoon sitting by the lake. We had been sitting there by the lake, and we were there with my family, my brothers and their kids and families and such. And we're all sitting there, and then they went to go back. It was about a 5-minute walk to where we were set up with our tents. And so they went to go get some lunch, and my husband and I stayed at the lake. And then when they came back, we're like, okay, I guess we're hungry. We're gonna go get some lunch now. So we went to go get some lunch, and we came back, and they were gone. It's like, oh, okay. Well, come to find out, the friends who own this property had taken them out on their boat, and they were gone for like 2.5 or 3 hours. They took them across the lake where there's a little black sand beach, and then down the river a little ways, and they stopped for, on the other side of the lake, there's access to the town, and they got some ice cream, and they were gone for like 3 hours. And so we had a fantastic, quiet, beautiful, peaceful afternoon sitting by the lake. And then when they came back, our friends asked if my husband and I wanted to go on the boat. So we went out on the boat, and we were gone only like 45 minutes or so. But they took us down again the river. They showed us there was a spot where an eagle likes to nest, but then down the river there was like tons of turtles sunning themselves. I've got, I think, a picture of one that I can throw in here. And that was a lot of fun. So it was just, as kind of rainy and such as it was earlier in the week, it was a really, really nice way to end the week. I will say that even though it was rainy, it was still fairly mild. It was in the high 60s, low 70s, so it wasn't cold. Like, I've been on camping trips before where it's been rainy and then it's been like high 50s, low 60s, and so it's just cold and raw, and again, you're in a tent, and so you got nowhere to go, and it's just kind of miserable. This wasn't terrible for raininess. It wasn't terrible, and again, with the pavilion to sit in, it was not too bad. So came home on Saturday. We took our time packing up. Again, it was a gorgeous, gorgeous sunny day, and we didn't tear anything down until it was completely dry. So that was the other nice thing. We were able to come home and just put it all away, because there's been other camping trips where we come home and we are trying to pack up and everything is still kind of damp, and so we come home, we have to reset it back up and let it dry out, so then tear it down and then pack it up, so then we can put it away. So this was nice to be able to just come home and put it straight away. And then yesterday, Sunday, after church, we celebrated my aunt's birthday. She turned 70, and this is my dad's sister, so we all got together at my cousin's house and had hamburgers and hot dogs and an ice cream cake, and just celebrated with my aunt. And it was there was a pool, so the kids were able to go swimming, and Got a beautiful property. Spent a few hours out there. I think I've got a picture of one of the decorations that I can throw in here, but it was kind of a fun way to end the weekend. And yeah, here we are. It's Monday morning or Monday afternoon at this point, and that's why I'm recording actually a day later. And I think a fairly busy week actually. I've got had breakfast with a friend this morning. I've got breakfast plans later in the week. I got a track meet that I'm gonna go to for the kids. I got a practice tonight. Yeah, so we'll just keep picking away at our week, right? So with that, I thank you so very much for listening. I will have links to everything that I talked about in the show notes. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like it and subscribe so that you always know when I post a new video. You can find me on Instagram or Ravelry as Knittin Michelle, KNITTINMICHELLE, or please feel free to send me an email at michellesfiberstudio@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you, and I always enjoy interacting whenever anybody leaves me comments or whatever. That's a fun thing for me, so please feel free to talk to me. I love to talk back. And with that, I hope you have a fantastic week and happy knitting.